there's no place like home for the holidays. And no matter how far away you roam, if you pine for the sunshine of a friendly gaze, for the holidays you can.
Welcome back to Horror for the Holidays, a Christmas horror movie podcast. I'm Jay Logsdon.
And I'm Jeff Searcy.
And as you know, here we are, back-to-back weeks. We don't normally do back-to-back weeks, but it's a special occasion.
It is a special occasion, Jay. It's the 2023 Halloween Spooktacular.
The 2023 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular.
That's the one.
Yep. Every week here in October, we'll be coming to you with a brand new Halloween themed episode.
Quality may vary.
Or loosely Halloween themed. Here we are, the second Monday in October, and we're gonna talk to you about the third Saturday in October.
We should have waited for the second Friday.
I know we, but yeah. So we're going to deck the halls as we talk about 2023, 2022. I don't know. I couldn't get a good read on it.
It seems like it came out in 2022.
The third Saturday in October.
Not part 5. Part 1.
Not part 5, part 1, because we got confused, apparently. The number...
Well, apparently, you're supposed to watch 5 first, but it doesn't say that anywhere unless you, look up what these movies are about.
Yeah, basically, it's supposed to be like a joke on... we'll just cut to it right now. It's supposed to be a joke on, the Halloween movies.
And, yeah.
How in the first one, Michael's just kind of a normal guy who's dead set on killing Jamie Lee Curtis. And by, part 5, part 6, he's communicating with fucking Jamie Lloyd through their shared telepathy.
It's our shared druidic curse.
And then he's cursed by the thorn rune, and then Halloween Resurrection happens.
Yeah. Well, it's also very Friday the 13th. Which I think on the poster for part 5, it looks like he's wearing a combination of a Michael Myers mask and a hockey mask.
I think it's that skeleton mask from the tail end of this movie.
I'd say it looks completely different, which is appropriate for these movies too.
Yeah, but it's that's what they're trying to do, and so knowing that, we were like, oh, we'll watch we'll watch this so we can get in on the joke, and then apparently we just watched them in the wrong order. Well, so that's on us, but too bad. That's what we're doing.
Well, theoretically, it said you should watch 5 then 1, but it also said that they should work as standalone movies too. So I'm just going to judge them as standalone movies.
That's fair. I as I said to you, anytime I didn't understand something, I was like, oh, maybe it'll make sense when we watch part 5.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
I doubt it too. But yeah, we'll let's see. We written and directed by Jay Burleson, who also did Third Saturday in October Part 5, and did a short called Halloween Harvest of Souls, 1985. So I mean, keeping it spooktacular at least.
Yeah, true.
It looked like a fan made kind of Halloween movie. It even kind of implied it was a trailer, maybe just a fan made trailer for a fake movie, but it looked kind of interesting.
Seems like he's got a thing for doing throwbacks.
Yep. Let's see. We got Darius Willis as Ricky Dean Logan, our Loomis type character.
Yes, Ricky Dean Logan, you said?
KJ Baller as Vicky Newton, who kind of I thought, if he's the Loomis, she's kind of like the nurse that kind of assisted him in the first 2 movies.
She's the nurse / she becomes like the sheriff.
Allison Shrum as Heather Hill, our Laurie Strode type character.
I wish somebody knew where she lived.
And her dad, Barry Hill, is played by Lou Temple, who we will see again in Silent Night, Zombie Night.
And of course, two states over, there's their cousin Hank Hill.
And don't forget about Dusty Hill.
Oh yeah.
And then also Lou Temple also appears in the Rob Zombie Halloween. So we'll see him again at least a couple times, which I didn't think he did a bad job.
Yeah. I mean, Nobody in this, I think, in this part 1 does a terrible job.
I mean, all the actors pretty consistently get work, which I
was
thought
gonna
was
say,
really impressive for kind of an indie movie.
Yeah, so they do seem to be credited actors in a lot of things. And I would say, I'm guessing they were supposed to be performing badly on purpose to match these old slasher movies.
Right.
But, I mean, some of them stray a little far, in my opinion.
Antonio Woodruff plays our killer, Jachariah Harding. We will call him Jachariah, Jack, or Harding probably over the course of this movie. But they're all the same person if we refer to one of those three people.
It would have been nice to see more of him, honestly.
And then just kind of moving down the list, because like there's a bunch of other actors, but ones that are kind of more important to what we do. Jay Spencer, who plays a security guard. Tutwiler is also in Mistletoe Massacre, a movie we just learned about last week. And we are very excited for.
Oh, yes.
And then Creel Wilson, who is credited as Grizzled Man, we will see in Santa Jaws.
Ah, yes.
Filmed in Alabama, which is where the movie takes place. So probably maybe an Alabama tax credit, but certainly keeping it on location, which I thought was neat.
Realistic.
Got the name the third Saturday in October because apparently that every year that's when Bama plays Tennessee in their football game. And so they kept that idea, but then I think they switched it to like Mobile, Alabama Mobile, and like Tennessee A&M as the two teams.
Well, you got to change it up a little.
Personal experience. I mean, I don't think Jeff or I
had not heard of this before you told me about it.
Yep.
So this is my only experience with it.
I had heard about this on social media, and somebody kind of sold it as, do you ever wonder how, essentially like we were kind of saying, do you ever wonder how Michael Myers went from a plain ordinary guy to a fucking druidic evil monster?
Unkillable monster. Yes.
The movie The Third Saturday in October does the same thing. There's only 2 of them, but it's 1 in 5. And so we were like, oh, that sounds like fun.
Well, the numbering scheme kind of reminds me of the Naked Gun, where the third one is the Naked Gun 33 1/3, the final insult.
Or one that we'll probably do at some point. There's Thanksgiving, and then there's Thanksgiving 3. The plot of Thanksgiving 3 being that they're trying to find the copy of Thanksgiving 2.
That would be a good plot, I think.
You can watch it on Tubi. I think other.
It's around.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to find.
Actually, I did have one personal experience with this. I just remembered. I was scrolling through the r/horror, and I saw a post tagged the third Saturday in October, don't bother. So I have actually seen this before.
Well, we'll
I guess we'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, we'll see what we'll see if the Reddit person is right.
Redditors, leave the podcasting the professionals, please.
As we'll dive into our synopsis here. We start with a voiceover, scrolling text, Star Wars style.
Oh my god. I don't think I've ever heard a more pointless voiceover in my life.
Telling us that the third Saturday in October is named for the football rivalry game between Alabama Mobile Seahawks and the Tennessee A&M Commonwealth. But in 1979, Jachariah Harding committed murders.
Yeah.
And that this is basically a movie remaking those events. I think that's pretty much it.
I mean, this is stuff that could have just been delivered in the movie, like that. Because I mean, it opens with it's like, oh, Daddy, we're gonna watch the Tennessee Alabama game right tomorrow night, like we always do on the third Saturday in October. It's like you could have just had that in there and skipped the beginning voiceover.
Yeah, we get, as Jeff said, we get some TV scenes of Heather and her dad kind of talking about the upcoming game, and they're playing Yahtzee. And then Heather's dad says, "Oh, I got to get to bed. I got to get up early tomorrow morning."
Yeah.
So he gets up and leaves, and Heather's kind of sat there watching a news report about the execution of Jachariah Harding, who killed however many people 11 years ago. Just
what they were just talking about in the voiceover.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the thing. The thing they're talking about in the voiceover. I would have almost. We're just gonna do this now. Yeah. I would have almost done that voiceover talking about the murders Jachariah committed 11 years ago in 1968.
Right.
And mentioned that instead of being like the events of 1979.
Yes.
Like. No, we already fucking...
Yes, it's like we wanted to know what happened before. If you're gonna do the voiceover, yeah, make it something that you don't see in the movie.
Yeah, and so that's what I would have done, and I think that would have made it a little more interesting.
But it's just kind of weird.
It makes me wonder if they plan on doing like a third Saturday in October Begins or something, like a prequel to the prequel.
That would be funny.
But then we cut to Ricky Dean, Logan, and Vicki Newton. They're meeting up as witnesses for the execution. Their children were two of Jachariah Harding's like 5 victims or something like that. On his original crime spree in 1968.
And he's never spoken a word since.
Yep. Apparently, yeah. They like sit him down and they strap him into the big yellow mama.
Yes.
Which is the electric, the bright yellow painted electric chair.
Yes. The guys outside that are like there to like cheer on the execution have got a sign that says "Big Yellow Mama" on it.
And I think I was like, at one point I was like, Jeff, who's the yellow man?
Yeah.
And then you were like, no, I think they're talking about the electric chair.
Yeah, the Big Yellow Mama.
But like the warden kind of asks if Jachariah has anything to say before they flip the switch, and he just stares daggers right at Ricky Dean and Vicky, like doesn't say a word. And we then get and I think they like Jeff said,
yes, the warden says he hasn't said a word since he was arrested 11 years ago.
Yeah, and a little later on, I think like at one point, like Ricky's like, he was a drifter, like he was a loner. No one had ever seen him before. No one knows where he came from, like that, you know. And I think like Vicky comments on like none of his family showed up or something like that.
It's almost like he's just a spawn of pure evil.
Yep. So they go and they flip the switch, and we get this kind of like shot of like Jachariah being like electrocuted, intercut with like the people outside kind of celebrating, and Vicky and Ricky Dean kind of like shielding their eyes and kind of like looking away.
Well, he's kind of, I thought at this point he was kind of screaming and groaning while he's being electrocuted. I thought it would have been better if he was just like stone faced and silent the entire time.
I do too. I think that would have added something. And it's this real synthy kind of Halloween style music plays as these opening kind of credits roll, and then Jachariah's eyeball pops out of the.
Practical effects in this movie are really well done.
Yeah, they comes out of the bag. They flip the switch off, and they're gonna take him to bury him that night in a local cemetery. Which Ricky Dean, basically like tells Vicky that he's going to see it.
Gonna go make sure he gets buried.
Yeah, because Ricky Dean's already convinced that we'll learn more later on, but Ricky Dean's already convinced that there's something else going on with Jachariah Harding.
Well, and if it wasn't his bad feeling enough, there's a fog of pure evil flooding the cemetery.
They arrive at the cemetery. They're a little late. They're held back by the protesters. So they don't see as the guards take him out to the cemetery, and then Jachariah shoots out of the casket, and we just get the third Saturday in October title card. So Vicky Logan well, Ricky Dean and Vicky.
We got Ricky Dean Logan. And we got Vicky Newton.
They arrive. They find this massive evil fog that Jeff was talking about.
Ricky Dean. We'll just say it now. Ricky Dean Logan is so just think of him as our Loomis. And for some reason, he has this tick where he says everybody's full name. Yeah. And so we heard these names, I don't know, probably 1 million times over the course of this movie.
And then at one point, I think Vicky calls him on it. She's like, why do you always call me Vicky Newton? What if I started to call you Ricky Dean Logan? He's like, I think I would like that, Vicky Newton.
I think I would like that.
He and Uncle Dieter, like I already said, he and Uncle Dieter are my 2 favorite characters.
They're the best 2 characters by far, and I wish we'd had more of both of them, honestly.
So they arrive, find that Jachariah's body is missing. Basically, Ricky Dean goes out to kind of investigate, takes his gun with him, and locks the doors, tells Vicky to lock the doors, and if she sees anything to run. Suddenly we hear like 3 gunshots in the fog, and Vicky kind of hides as Jachariah kind of walks out of the fog, walks past the car that she's in, gets in the hearse, and drives away. Vicky's kind of freaking out as Ricky Dean's hand kind of slams up against the window, and it just turns out that he got hurt, but he's okay.
Yes, he broke his hand, which I was kind of wondering. It's like, so why didn't he kill him at that point? And well, it's because he's got to be in the sequel.
Yep. And then they give chase as they know for whatever reason they know Jack Rye is headed to Hackleburg. I know, is Hackleburg?
It's Haddonfield.
Right, it is. But is that where the original murders took place? Like, is that where they're all from? Like, that was kind of a thing that I had trouble.
They never
placing.
make that clear. If this is like where he was hunting before, or if this is like a new place that he happens to be at.
But then how did they know that's where it was? It was just so strange to me.
Maybe Hackleburg is the only town in that area or something.
Yeah. The next morning in Hackleburg, Heather heads up to work at the Bronco Burger, which is apparently the only place in town to eat.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a good place in town to eat if you judge the sheriff.
We are now introduced to John Paul, Ned, Denver, Pam, Uncle Dieter, and his girlfriend Bobby Joe.
Never a more disgusting collection of hippies will you see in your life.
Uncle Dieter is like, Uncle Dieter and his girlfriend Bobby Joe, they're like, we're going to go out skinny dipping as Uncle Dieter's walking around in like his tidy whities. And then at one point he grabs like a flat cap and Pam's like, why'd you grab, if you're going skinny dipping, why'd you grab a hat? He's like, I don't want to get my head sunburned.
Oh, Uncle Dieter.
And but then the rest of the other four, so Denver, Ned, Pam, and John Paul, they're all kind of friends from college. They're staying there at Uncle Dieter's to watch the game. So they all head out to get something to eat. They get in a yellow like micro bus, which is very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I know you pointed that out immediately. But don't forget, we start with Denver. This is her beginning of her annoying habit of dancing in every scene.
Yeah, she dances like a ton in this one scene.
And I think at one point she dances for like 5 minutes straight and nothing else happens.
Pretty much, yeah. Like she's going places as she's dancing, but yes, it's like why are we just watching her dance everywhere?
Why do we watch them eat lunch in real time?
They as they're driving away from Uncle Dieter's house, they pass a black hearse and some muskrat scouts who are clearly Girl Scouts.
Yeah,
and like they're kind of complaining to each other, and I think one of them's like, "Is that a hearse?" And the other one's like, "No, it's a Cadillac." As they put their bikes down and they go up to the house, ring the doorbell to sell some cookies.
She's like, I don't know, I have a bad feeling about this. And she's like, yeah, that's why you never sell any cookies, you bitch.
Yeah. Then Jack Rye opens the door and attacks two of the girls. He grabs one of them by the hair.
Yeah.
And the other one's able to kind of pull her away as like he rips out a large chunk of her hair and they run off.
Nice practical effect on that too.
One of the girls one of them just runs off. The other one picks up her bike, acts like she's gonna get on it, and then just sets it back down and runs off again, which I thought was hilarious.
See, it would have been funnier if he'd answered the door and bought cookies.
And then Jack Rye goes back into the house and he's like murdered the whole family. Like I think one of them was like eating cereal and like there's just blood mixed with the milk and stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ricky, Dean, and Vicky are trying to alert the proper authorities, but the state doesn't seem really interested in anything that they have to say.
As far as the state's concerned, he's dead.
Yeah, and Ricky Dean decides he's going to take matters into his own hands.
His own hand now.
Yeah, because one of them's broken. The college friends arrive at the Bronco Burger. We meet the hapless sheriff, who I think in another life probably would have been played by Mickey Rooney.
Now, here's the first inconsistency. Well, no, the first inconsistency is I'm pretty sure one of the title cards says a year later from when the narration starts. And then we're like 11 years later, but whatever. So they act like they don't know what this place is and that they're ordering the Bronco soda. And they're like, oh, I've never been to a place that makes its own soda. But he's like, oh, yeah, I grew up here on my uncle's farm, basically. And he's like, so you've grown up here, but you've never eaten at the one restaurant in town?
No, I thought that was also strange. But yeah, we're introduced to the sheriff. We're introduced to...
the sheriff. We got to talk about him for a second.
In his yellow jumpsuit.
So he's got a yellow... He looks like he works for AIM.
Yeah, more than doesn't just missing the beekeeper helmet. But no, like I said, like it looks like he would have been played by Mickey Rooney in like another lifetime. Like if this movie was made back when it was originally
yes, it was made when it was set.
Yeah. John Paul invites Heather to watch the game that night. Initially she's reluctant because it's good luck if she watches the game with her dad.
Oh yeah.
But she kind of agrees to go.
There's a disturbingly large amount of uses of the word daddy in this movie.
And then also the college kids at some point start meowing at each other.
Oh my god.
For some reason. Maybe because they're high. I think it's because they're high.
But it's not going to stop, so get used to it.
But it's also maybe something that we don't learn about until part 5. Oh. And since we haven't watched it, maybe the meowing comes back later, but I doubt it.
Yeah, maybe it's some great thing we're going to learn about.
We see the hearse pull up to Uncle Dieter's house while the awesome soundtrack of the movie plays.
Oh, we also find out that Denver is actually from Utah.
Oh, yeah. Denver, like Colorado? I always wanted to go to Colorado. I'm from Utah. She's named Denver after John Denver.
Yeah.
Ricky Dean tells Vicky his theory that Harding isn't human, but actually pure evil. He's like, they told you that night that I chased him out of my house, right? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, did they tell you that I shot him twice with my shotgun? Mm. And he's like, they told me it was birdshot, but it was buckshot, Vicky Newton. Like, I know I put bullets in that man. He should be dead.
Well, and you think it wouldn't be really a theory at this point now that he's survived an electrocution.
Well, I think even at one point they're like, we electrocuted him 3 times. Yeah. Like, what?
Like, yeah, clearly this guy is not normal.
The college friends go back to Dieter's house to get high, and they meow at each other some more. John, Paul, Ned, and Pam decide to go take a nap, and they like do this little dance. And they're like, nap time, nap time, nap time.
Well, we got to fill some more time in this thing.
Denver snorts a line of coke and goes and explores the house. She finds like the basement, like all the Christmas lights are on. And there's a rocking chair in it, kind of like in Black Christmas.
Uh-oh.
And she then kind of explores the rest of the house, rounds a corner, and just fucking Jacariah pops out of nowhere, snaps her neck, takes her down to the rocking chair, puts her in it, and then like starts cutting pieces of her face off.
Yep. Which, if you got to give it up for one thing in this movie, it's the gore effects.
Ricky Dean and Vicky meet the sheriff at the Bronco Burger. They try to alert him to Harding.
Well, I was going to say the sheriff is like surprisingly accommodating for one of these movies.
He seems it was weird because I was like, he seemed both like disinterested in helping them, but then he's like, you know what, I got nothing better to do.
It's kind of like, well, I don't know if I really believe you guys about this crazy like shadow murderer man, but I mean, I really don't have anything to do with my deputies, so I guess we can look for it.
Yeah, and so they kind of like drop a plan to look for this black hearse and kind of help them locate him.
And let's note something here now. This is going to come back later. The sheriff says, if you need any help or need to get in contact with me, call 911 and have them patch you through to my radio.
And no one takes that advice and does it over the course of the movie.
And it would have been helpful several times in this movie.
They also, Heather was their waitress while they were there. Yes. And they warn Heather about the hearse. And she says, oh, I always leave when I see it. I always walk in the other direction when I see a hearse.
Smart.
At Dieter's house, everyone meows at each other again, but Bobby Joe, who woofs for some reason. And then Dieter's like, you're embarrassing me, woman.
Embarrassed again.
And like, I don't know if Jeff and I have explained the meowing. It's literally them going meow, 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 like for minutes straight in this movie. Ned is kind of concerned because he hasn't seen Denver in a while.
Yeah.
So he goes and he looks around the house for her, and he finds her in the rocking chair with all the Christmas lights around her, like, very Black Christmas.
He says, like you do, I believe I'll try to rouse Denver.
Man, Ned was great. But he finds her body, like I said, sitting in the rocking chair, and then literally Harding just pops up from in front of him. We literally just right in front, just stands up.
My favorite part of that is when he's coming to the bottom of the stairs and the whole basement is dark, and he's like, Denver, surely you can't be down here, Denver.
And then some marbles roll around, and he's like, John Paul, I think your house is haunted by a Chinese checkers playing ghost.
Oh, see, if we would have had more stuff like that would have helped us move along faster.
And so then, Jackarai pops up. He's got a pair of pruning shears, hedge clippers, and it cuts off Ned's head with it.
Yes. Another well done gore effect.
Ricky, Dean, and Vicky are at the Bronco Burger, and they overhear the 2 Muskrat Scouts from earlier and their mom, who's basically complaining about having to spend the whole day in the hospital because, they were attacked by some monster man in a hearse.
Yeah, she says, you're not going to get anything to eat or whatever until you tell me what really happened. And then, yes, the synth sting plays.
Yeah. Back at Dieter's house, Dieter and Bobby Joe are getting ready to fuck.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
And an inconsistency that I pointed out to Jeff, like there's a handful of things that I'm like that are glaringly stand out. Bobby Joe, when she like takes her top off, has like a side tattoo, and I'm like, I don't think people had side tattoos like that in like the 1970s.
I wouldn't think so, but you never know, I guess.
True. Well, and then certainly Heather has a tattoo on her wrist, and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure like girls in like in 1978, like who were like 18 years old, who were like good family girls, certainly did have tattoos on their wrists.
And also, for some reason, Uncle Dieter he makes it clear that he wants to have sex. And so Bobby Joe gets up, goes to the bathroom, starts doing her makeup and changing into different underwear. I'm like, this seems unnecessary, but okay.
And so like Dieter's trying to stay hard while
I'm edging
for Bobby
myself
Joe.
out here.
Yeah, he's edging, and then Jacariah pops up with a tie and just strangles him with the tie.
He carotines him.
He does. Bobby Joe then finds she's like, oh, Dieter, you're hiding from me, huh? And she grabs his dick.
She's like, hard, just like I like it.
And she pulls the covers down, finds that he's dead, and screams. Jacariah pops up and just slits her throat right there. Heather and John Paul leave for a walk to go kind of walk around during halftime.
God, that was one of the most awkward interactions in this movie. So he puts the arm around her, but not all the way around her, like across the back of the couch. And he's like, say, we could do with some fresh air. And she's like, I thought I was here to watch the game.
They have no chemistry.
So like these people are so awkward. And then she's like, maybe at halftime.
And so they leave to go for their walk, and then literally just Jacariah pops up and just attacks Pam with a hammer, with a ball peen hammer.
Oh, they can't all be amazing.
As they're walking around the property, they find the hearse, and Heather's like, "Oh, I was told something about a hearse earlier."
Yes. And then instead of her just like mumbling the line like she remembers it, they just cut in the voiceover of Ricky Dean Logan saying it again,
and then just out loud, John Paul. She's like, "But what did he say before that?" And literally, nothing. Like there's no.
He just said to avoid the hearse.
Yeah. And so instead they go back into the house. They find out all the bodies like kind of set up in the living room. Yeah. And then out of nowhere out pops Jacariah with a chainsaw, which was not revving. We heard no sound of previously.
It was clearly ready to use and idling, but yes, makes absolutely no noise behind the couch.
As he chainsaws John Paul in the head. Ricky, Dean, and Vicky arrive just in time to save Heather, shooting Jacariah a couple times and tying him up with chains.
And this is another thing that made no sense to me. It's like, okay, Ricky Dean, it's not like he believes he's a regular man anymore. And he knows that he survived way worse than this. Why would they leave him alone?
No, absolutely. They all leave the house, and they're all kind of talking. And then Heather like decides she's gonna go home. She'd be safe with her, with her dad.
Gotta go home to my daddy.
And they go back inside and discover that Jacariah is gone. The chains are empty. And that he's in the back seat of Heather's car.
And then Ricky Dean says one of my favorite lines of the movie. He's just using her to get to a new place. They're both going to end up there. Yep, that's how a car works. Yep, you guys are both driving to the same place.
They call the Bronco Burger to find out where Heather lives. The waitress asks, like the whole restaurant, anyone know where Heather Hill lives? And a guy goes, who wants to know? And there were big laughs from me.
So there's a real Jay Logston type guy at the restaurant.
He just
completely unhelpful.
Yeah, it's so I thought it was hilarious. I thought it's such a funny, just random scene to have in this movie. Just a guy going like, it'd be like if he just like made like a fart noise, like, I know where she lives.
Yep.
Just so stupid.
And this is also another thing that, like, you want to know what really grinds my gears, folks? So they do this, they're like, oh, nobody knows where she lives. It's like, okay, this is a tiny town, so obviously everyone would know where Heather from the Bronco Burger lives.
Right.
And then to top it all off, so Ricky Dean Logan has her call back, and he's like, listen, I'm doing a follow-up question on Heather Hill, like he's a reporter or something, I don't know.
And then the girl's like, oh, everyone's been asking about her tonight.
Does anybody know her daddy? And so she's like, does anybody know who Heather Hill's daddy is? And this old man who's been sitting there at the bar the entire time goes, oh, yeah, I know him. And it's like, so if you know him and you know he has a daughter, then you know who she is.
Yeah. It's so strange.
So now that they know that, Ricky Dean Logan is going to make the most threatening, helpful phone call of all time.
Heather arrives home, sees that her daddy is gone. He left a note saying that he found a hot date and don't wait up.
And so it basically should have said, note from dad, I'm going to fuck.
Ricky Dean calls her and tells her to leave the house. Like Jeff said, the most threatening phone call of all time.
Listen to me, you stupid bitch. You need to get the hell out of the house.
He's like, listen to me. That motherfucker's in the house with you, dude. Get the fuck out of there.
Get the fuck out of them. No, see, that was another thing that bothered me. He never tells her that the killer is in the house with her. He's just like, you need to get the fuck out of your motherfucking house.
So then Heather kind of starts to walk out.
But it's too late.
It's too late. Jackarai is behind her. She's able to fight him off with a frying pan briefly.
Frying pan to the face, which even though electrocution 3 times and gunshots barely slows him down, a frying pan apparently knocks him for a loop.
Ricky so she's getting strangled by Jackarai, Heather is, and then her dad pops up, like tackles him, to which Heather yells, "Meet my daddy, motherfucker."
Oh boy. My daddy.
They're able to kind of, her dad and Jackarai kind of battle back and forth, and they're able to get his gun out, and then they shoot him 3 times as everyone kind of shows up outside. Both the sheriff and Ricky Dean and Vicky all show up at about the same time.
Yeah.
They're all kind of talking and blah blah blah. The sheriff goes into the house, and he's like, "Well, I'll be damned. He's vanished. He's vanished into thin air."
Oh, sheriff.
And then at one point, like, Heather's like, "Oh, Daddy, I want you to meet Ricky Dean and Vicky." Like, blah blah blah. They talk, and then the dad's like, "Oh, I sure wish someone would tell me what the hell's going on."
Yeah.
And the movie fades to black. Which, I mean, to be fair, I also wish someone would tell me what the hell was going on.
After seeing that movie the first time, that was my closing thought as well.
The next we get a thing like the next morning, because it was Saturday, so the next morning, Sunday, Harding has murdered a couple more people in their house, takes their car, and he slowly starts to drive away as he passes like 3 like kids out practicing for track, like they're all running.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it zooms in on their butts.
Well, I know what reason.
And then like he drives a little further, and then he just starts laughing maniacally as the ending credits start to roll.
Oh boy.
And that's the 3rd Saturday in October. On the 2nd Monday in October.
It is certainly a movie.
So, where do you want to start for our minutia, Jeff?
Well, you know what? Why don't we start with switch it up this time and talk about the Halloween spirit of this thing?
All right. How Halloweeny is the movie? How Halloweeny are the kills?
Surprisingly, the kills are very Halloweeny, I would say. Very reminiscent of like a Friday the 13th or a Halloween, which they're obviously leaning heavily on.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of cool, creative, like gory kills. So I'd say that makes it a little bit of the spooky season spirit.
I kind of had, for the kills, I kind of had like, I don't know that it, there's nothing like Trick or Treat where like, Sam like kills somebody with like a razor blade in a candy bar or whatever. There's nothing like that.
No direct Halloween kills.
But yes, like every kill is an homage to like another, or seems like it is. I guess not all of them.
There's lots. You detected lots of references to other horror movies in this. And I'm sure a lot of these kills probably do reference things. I know at least a couple of them are definitely Friday the 13th inspired kills.
Yeah, well, we had the chainsaw, Texas Chainsaw, and the yellow bus, like both those kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The rocking chair thing.
Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we We had there was one other one. The pruning shears kind of made me think of like The Burning
Yeah.
or whatever. Like I kind of felt like that was a reference to that.
So, I mean, there's lots of different stuff.
Or I guess Exorcist 3 and the giant pair of scissors in that.
Yeah, that's true.
The best jump scare of all time. The movie for it's the middle of October, but like everyone's setting up for Halloween. You see all sorts of Halloween decorations around. They all look very like retro in style, which I thought was very cool. Like,
no, see, one of the things I liked the most about this was he definitely made it seem like you really were in the 70s for this, like it was made at the time period. It had that same vibe as like the original Halloween and a lot of slasher things around that time, like the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s.
well, and a lot of the decorations we see, especially like a lot of the outdoor decorations, are all like blow molds and stuff like that, which is a lot older. Nowadays we get the inflatables or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat that we got a bunch of blow molds.
No, I really liked it. I thought it was well done.
A bunch of like window clings and stuff like that. Just those things all just felt very in place. Like I said, very retro looking decorations.
Definitely. But I would say overall, probably, I don't know.
Like a medium Halloween movie.
Medium. I mean, this isn't going to like knock your socks off with Halloween decorations or anything, but I mean, it's enough to get it by.
I mean, then let's face it. Not all the Halloween movies knock your socks off with Halloween decorations.
That's also very true. I mean, even the first one is really. I mean, there are a lot of Halloween imagery, like in the opening credits with the jack-o'-lantern, and I mean, you got the kids in costumes, but really, I mean, most of the killing takes place in houses that aren't even decorated. Really,
yeah. Other than the Bob is the ghost, like you don't really get many other things.
Yeah.
Where to next?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about so many great lines. We might as well do our quotes.
All right, let's do the monster mash. We'll do our favorite quotes for the movie.
It was a mash.
All right, let's see here. I'll start with like right after like that opening scrawl of like voiceover text. There's a commercial playing in the background of the scene, and it's like, you can beat the price at Norman's Catfish Cabin, but you can't beat the taste.
Yep. I noticed that too. I didn't put it on my list.
And then another one I had was the not so much a line of dialogue, but more of a just some writing, something you see above the electric chair. Just says, "Home of the infamous Yellow Mama."
Yes, the Yellow Mama and the Yellow Mama sign. We had
also there was a sign that said like, "It's Fryday,"
yes,
Fry.
Yes, I love that too. Oh, one of my favorite things was on the it's pretty close to the end of their scene, like where they're watching the game and they're having an interview with the coach, and he's like, we're playing like I can't remember what it's like goddamn dog shit out there. Pardon my French. Yeah. Oh, and of course the exchange we talked about earlier with Ricky Dean Logan and Vicky Newton, where Vicky Newton says, "Why do you always call me Vicky Newton every single time? How would you like it if I called you Ricky Dean Logan every time I said your name?" I think I'd like that fine. I think, of course he says, "I think I'd like that fine, Vicky Newton."
At one point, Ricky Dean, when he's talking to the sheriff, trying to kind of convince him of that Harding's on the loose. He's like, "Listen, if Dracula's name was Philip Tankersley, you wouldn't say, 'There goes Philip drinking some blood.' Nobody ever seen Wolfman running at him and said, 'Oh, hey, there goes Larry Talbot.'"
Yeah.
To which Sheriff Tankersley replies, "Do you believe in Wolfman and Dracula?"
Yeah, I had that one. Oh, I also had the whole, Denver. I've always wanted to visit Colorado. I'm from Utah.
Right. The last one I had was at Dieter's house when Heather arrives. Dieter goes, "I do not have any Pepsi to offer you, my dear, but would you like some Coke?" as he holds up a baggie of cocaine.
Yep, that was a good one. Also, even that's another sin of this movie. Even referencing Pepsi in Alabama will get you killed. It's Coke. Coke only.
But yeah, those were the quotes I had. Do you have Any others, or was that it for you for your Monster Mash?
I'm not going to read the entire thing out, but I thought the exchange between him and the racist guy at the gas station with Ricky Dean is pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty
Where
good.
he's pretending not to know why he doesn't like him.
A guy walks up to Ricky Dean. He's like, we don't like your kind around here. And so then Ricky Dean's like, it's because I belong to this church. And he's like, no, my daddy belongs to that church. It's like, it must be because I'm a Mobile fan. And he's like, no, I'm the biggest Mobile fan around.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, then I can't picture what it would be.
Well, and you also find out a little bit of backstory in that, because he says his son played for the team. And then suddenly he's like, maybe it's not so bad that you're here.
Oh yeah, that guy's my favorite player. I think he responds with.
So you get a little bit of Ricky Dean backstory there.
Anything? I don't have anything else for quotes though.
No, I mean there were a few good lines in this, but most of the I'd say the standout things about this are the kills.
Yeah. Halloween costume, set designs, costumes, anything that stood out to you?
I mean, like we said earlier, everything is very in character for the 70s.
I thought Dieter's house looked very kind of creepy, kind of a good setting. And then Heather's house reminded me kind of like the Strode house, or like whatever. It felt very.
Honestly, it reminded me of the Myers house, the way that the living room is set up and everything. Which you only see briefly. But.
Right. And then, but for outfits, I loved Ricky Dean's yellow sweater.
I loved the sheriff's weird jumpsuit thing.
Yeah, that was great too. And then Ned wears like the best outfit. I think like Denver wears like a pretty cool like one piece outfit, but Ned has like green and white Adidas.
Yeah.
And then like a brown, green, and yellow like shirt, like striped button down shirt that looked awesome, like a bowling shirt almost. Looked really, really cool.
Well, and of course Uncle Dieter's tidy whities and Dracula costume
that
stands out.
Yeah, Uncle Dieter's tidy whities are hilarious because they're the kind that like right up to like past his belly button.
Yeah.
Like they just look really big on him. Like it looks really funny.
Also, shout out to those jogging shorts at the end.
I think one of us commented to the other. We were like, I know this isn't the 70s. No one's butt looked like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. That's it for Halloween costumes for me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very in period. I would say nothing really stands out as like jarringly anachronistic, but I mean, nothing really stands out as like an amazing costume either.
Yeah. Moving on to burnt out jack-o'-lantern, brilliant jack-o'-lantern. One thing you would fix, one thing you want to praise.
One thing I would fix was to stop all the damn meowing. No, that was annoying, but the movie has bigger problems than that for me. I would say condense the storylines. This has basically 3 stories working in parallel to each other. And I think they should have started off with 2. Have Vicki Newton and Ricky Dean, and have the group of, like, I'm guessing they're supposed to be, like, teenagers to college age people, but they all look like they're probably in their 30s or 40s. But have that group of people be the main story. Have Ricky Dean and Vicki Newton be the secondary story, and then have maybe like in the middle of the movie have them combine their forces like in Halloween, where they start to intersect with each other. But it's like these 3 stories running in parallel is just too much, because you have Heather and her daddy you have to constantly keep following up on. You've got Uncle Dieter and the gang at the house, and then you've got Ricky Dean and Vicki Newton investigating everything. And it's like you keep jumping back and forth between these people every 5 minutes, and it's really hard to keep track of what's even going on.
For me, the thing I would fix, certainly, I mean, we've said it a couple times, knowing the order of the films, maybe we would have enjoyed this more if we had been reviewing part 5 instead of part 1 now. From
what I've seen, I don't think it's really going to make much difference, because they're really not that connected. But, I mean, it might have made some kind of difference. Oh, right. Well, I guess, I mean, really there's 4 stories, because you're also following Harding around, too.
And then also just the pacing. There were times where you're like, why is this still going on? The meowing, for instance. Oh, my God. Or Denver's dancing.
This is the longest short movie I think I've ever seen. No, that's not true. This was not as hard to get through as the American Scream.
Or Barricade. Or we've certainly seen worse ones. It's just,
But-
it felt, the pace was just very off. Like, there were things that I would tighten up, and there were things that I would maybe add a little bit more to.
It's like we could have done with more like Uncle Dieter shenanigans and less Denver dancing and people meowing at each other.
Right. Brilliant jack-o'-lantern. The thing you want to praise.
The gore, the kills. I mean, what you really come to these movies for in the first place. They made sure they did that right. I mean, there's a lot of great kills, a lot of great reference kills to other franchises done well. The only thing that really kind of drags it down a little bit is that the killer is so, like, bland.
Mm.
And, I mean, they really don't develop him very much, and he doesn't really have, until the end when he gets his skull mask thing, his skeleton face, he doesn't really have any, like, identifying feature about him. But all the kills are really well done. The gore, like the practical effects, whoever did those for this movie, like, deserves an award. They all look amazing. Especially the one that stood out to me the most was the garden shears chopping the neck of Ned when he comes down in the basement.
Oh, one that I thought that I really enjoyed was the chainsaw to the head, and you just see blood splattering out of the top of
that was a
John
good one,
Paul's head.
too. I mean, even like the basic one, even the cracking her on the head with the hammer one, where Pam gets attacked from behind, was great.
What I loved, the brutality of the when he snaps Denver's neck and then takes her down. Like, I think it's implied that, like, Denver's still alive as he starts cutting into her and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can see like her eyes twitching and stuff, like she's trying to move.
For me, Brilliant Jack-o'-lantern, I loved the music, the sound effects. Like, there's like kind of where Jason has the and like stuff like that. Like, there's this like whirring that like kind of plays. Like I kept kind of pausing the movie and I'm like, who's out mowing their lawn or doing the leaf blower or the weed whacker right now? And then I paused it. I'm like, oh no, that's the movie. And like I thought that whirring was like a really neat effect of like.
Well, it was a nice John Carpenter-esque synth throwback soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
too.
like all of the synthy music that plays. Like Jacariah has his own like theme. Like there is like a little theme that kind of plays throughout the movie that I thought was amazing.
The one thing that bothered me with that was like the weird kind of like upbeat techno style thing that would happen when he would start killing people.
Yeah, every once in a while, there'd be like it would cut to this weird like techno beat.
It's like this music seems way too upbeat and happy for what's going on.
But like otherwise, like when he like gets into his car and drives away, it feels just like the scenes where it's like the slow like Michael Myers like dun 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 like kind of sound.
Yeah,
I love that. I thought that was really cool.
I mean, I think if they were trying to make like an homage to slasher movies from the 70s and 80s, I think they did a good job. But I mean, honestly, I just wish it had been executed a little better, and I think it could have been like a really great one.
Well, it sounds like we're moving right into final rating, Jeff. For our Halloween Spooktacular, we're rating these movies off of one of three categories. Are they candy corny? Are they wait, what was the other ones?
We were gonna do
seasonally
spooky, candy corny, and I think we were gonna go with like 6 Feet Under.
Yeah. So, where would you put this movie?
For me, this movie's going 6 Feet Under.
All right.
I mean, I like things about it, but I just got really bored watching it because of the long stretches of nothing really happening and the kind of like weird filler meowing and dancing and stuff. If this had been like a tighter movie, I think they probably could have made it like, if they wanted to do this part 1 and 5 thing, make each part like 45 minutes and just release them as like a double feature. I think maybe that might have worked a little bit better.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
But I think I'm going to have to go with that for me because there's really no reason to watch this movie. I mean, it does a lot of interesting things, but it's things you've seen before in other movies.
I put it down as a candy corny. Like the first time we watched it, like, we were having a little hard time. I had a little bit more fun kind of the second time watching it, which I've had happen a couple times in the past, like rewatching these movies. But it was, it was kind of fun. I'm excited to see what they do in the sequel. Like, I found the homages like very fun, and you could kind of just see where everything was kind of going. Not the best movie, certainly not the funniest. A lot of the jokes fall flat. The meowing makes no sense. But I think it might be worth watching, certainly this Halloween season. Like, there's certainly worse movies I think you could watch.
Oh, there's always worse movies you could watch.
And so, this might be a fun thing. If you're doing a Halloween party and everyone's kind of petering out and whatever, and you're just you kind of just want to put something on and just kind of relax, and you can have fun and you can kind of tune in and tune out. This would be a good movie to do that with.
Well, I would say if you've seen a lot of slasher movies and things already, maybe give this a try. But if you haven't watched all these franchises already, most of the references and things in this are going to make no sense to you, and you're probably just going to be bored.
Well, let's take our villain Jachariah Harding, and we'll have we figured it out? Do we just want to call it our trick or treat list?
Yeah, sure. We'll do our trick or treat list.
And we'll where you're either the trickiest or the treatiest. Right now we have our trickiest being Michael Myers and our treatiest being the people from Harvest.
Yep.
Where do we want to put Jachariah Harding?
I'd say probably, he's not, because we haven't seen him developed yet, he's not as powerful as Michael. Mm. But, he's the same basic concept, like a pure evil, unkillable thing.
But he's certainly a poor knockoff.
Yes, he's in the shape of the shape, but he's not quite in good shape.
No, I agree. There's only really one place we could put him, and it's in the middle of those two things right now. But I'd certainly put him a little bit more towards Michael. But, if Corey Cunningham would be below Michael, and he's a cheap knockoff, like...
I was going to say, he's not bad, but, there's nothing really that stands out about him.
Yeah, like I agree. Like maybe when we eventually get to part 5, we'll see if there's something different.
Maybe when we get to Jason versus Carrie territory, we'll see what happens.
Exactly. But sounds like, Jeff, you're ready to wind this down and shove some garbage in your face in a segment we like to call
Garbage Day. Huh? No.
All right, so we got another Garbage Day segment coming at you. Some more Halloween seasonal treats to sample.
Oh boy,
are you ready, buddy?
I guess. I don't want to know what's in that bag.
We got campfire s'more M&Ms.
Oh, okay. We're doing okay so far.
We got Kool-Aid Ghoul-Aid popping candy.
Interesting.
And to wash it all down, we got Fanta, what the Fanta mystery flavor.
What the Fanta?
It's zero sugar, but all I could find was zero sugar, so I don't know if there's a full fat version or if it's all zero sugar.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
But it's spooky. It's black and kind of glow in the dark green. It's got spiders, bats on the logo, a moon.
It looks averagely spooky.
But yeah, Fanta, Coca-Cola trying to get in on the
voodoo racket.
Yep, trying to get in on Pepsi's voodoo game. I'm gonna pop open the Fanta first. I've been wanting to try this for a while. I think they did this last year, but I did not try it last year.
That's probably a good idea. Also, any place, like I saw it at a movie theater a couple weeks ago, any place with a Coke freestyle machine, you can get the mystery Fanta.
I could not tell you what I think it tastes like.
All right, well, I'll give it a try here. I'm just getting my M&Ms ready.
All right.
All right, here we go. Honestly, I'd say it tastes like they mixed orange and strawberry and maybe like a little bit of the diet orange Fanta together. I don't know. It tastes like Fanta, I give them that. I would say there's hints of orange, there's hints of cherry.
So you think it's almost like a fruit punch?
I think so.
So my one thought, and I could be wrong, it's been a long time since I've had it. My one thought was maybe they were trying to do like an Ecto Cooler.
Could be.
I know Ecto Cooler was a little more like citrusy, but I am kind of getting that like citrusy orange kind of flavor.
Yeah, there's something in there. There's definitely a few fruit flavors mixing together.
Yeah, I just popped a couple of the M&Ms in my mouth. Jeff's doing the same. They're a little crunchy, but you kind of get that marshmallow flavor. I don't know, and certainly the chocolate. I don't know that I got much graham cracker flavor coming through. But yeah, they're colors on the package: orange, white, and like black. So kind of, I think, to similar, to the browning of the marshmallow or the fire. You got the chocolate, you got the white for the marshmallow. I don't think they're bad. I don't know that they're anything to write home about.
It's mostly just marshmallow flavor. All right. I got a pack of Scary Berry popping candy from Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I'm still looking for, supposedly last year, Kool-Aid was supposed to be putting out in Jammers form a Witch's Brew. And it didn't come out, and then I've still not seen it this year. So that's the thing I'm looking for, but I thought this was like a nice little, gross. I thought this was a nice little, kind of thing to kind of tide me over while I'm still searching for that. But it's got, the Kool-Aid man on the cover wearing a, Dracula outfit. Honestly, just watching you pour that in your mouth, Jeff, it looks very it doesn't look as good as a regular Pop Rocks. It looks a lot thinner, like a lot grainier.
I would say it's pretty good flavor-wise.
Okay.
It does seem to burn up faster than regular Pop Rocks. But the flavor's not bad, honestly. I think...
Like, I'm looking at it here. Normally, you get, like, a lot... Like, some bigger chunks. And, like, I'm not seeing as many of those in here. This looks a lot more ground up.
This is more of a fine powder texture, but it does taste good. Let me know what you think. I like the packaging quite a bit. It would have been funny if they added a couple fangs to the Kool-Aid man, though. But, yeah, I mean, it is berry flavor. You definitely get that. So I would say pretty good, honestly. I'm not even that big a fan of Pop Rocks to begin with, but, I mean, it's got a decent flavor to it. It's got a little... I mean, it probably went, 30 seconds. So if your kids are loving that Pop Rocks thing, it'll last them a little bit.
No, I got these at a Dollar Tree, so $1.25 for 3 pouches.
Not bad, honestly.
Yep.
And of course it says Kool-Aid popping candy and like a dripping slime kind of logo.
Oh no, I love the packaging. I think the packaging looks amazing.
It's a really cool package.
If we were judging, like, that's the thing. I think last week, like, certainly, like, the packaging wasn't great. I think for all 3 things. Yeah. I think for this week, I think it's some top tier packaging.
No, definitely solid for all of them. The Fanta definitely looks spooky. We got obviously the Kool-Aid package we described. The M&Ms look like very fall.
The red M&M is wearing like a knit fall cap.
Yeah.
Holding a s'mores.
Yeah, time to break out the old knit cap.
Yeah, we don't have Tucker Carlson's favorite M&M, the green one.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's not sexy anymore.
Yeah, they got Tucker Carlson can't beat his meat to the green M&M anymore, and it really makes him upset.
Changed her damn shoes.
So I mean, so we've only got the red M&M, but I'm sure somewhere Tucker Carlson's probably beating his meat to the red M&M too.
I don't like to think about it.
But let's do our thing. We'll rate these 3 things, and maybe then we'll kind of put them kind of on a master list with the stuff we did last week, or kind of where we put them versus the stuff last week.
All right. Well, I'd say number 3 for me is going to be the M&Ms. They taste okay, but I mean, they're not... I would say they're more marshmallow than a s'more. And, I mean, they're okay, but they're M&Ms. You know what you're going to get, pretty much.
And I liked those M&Ms we did last year. I think, even though, like we said, they were just, peanut butter, peanut, and chocolate.
Yeah.
The Mad Scientist mix I thought was awesome.
I think Mad Scientist mix definitely beats this.
Yep. For me, probably 3rd would be the Pop Rock, the Kool-Aid popping candy. The Kool-Aid popping candy, I guess, if we want to give it its full name. It's Pop Rocks. It's pretty low tier.
Yeah, I mean, I put that at number 2 just because I like the flavor of it a little bit better than the s'more flavor. But I mean, yeah, it's nothing special. The packaging is more what you're buying.
See, I think my number 2 is the Fanta. Like, it certainly, maybe I'll like it more. It doesn't have, one thing I will give it, it doesn't have that zero sugar,
No
like
weird
artificial flavor that some of those things have.
No
Like,
weird aftertaste. Or
it
anything
tastes
like
very
that.
much just like a regular Fanta, which I think is awesome.
Honestly, it grows on you if you take a few more drinks.
And the like. The darkness has me worried because of the famous black shell Taco Bell or the black bun
yeah.
Burger King burger that caused bathroom problems for people. Like, I'm worried about how dark the Fanta Zero Sugar, what the Fanta is.
They sell you enough dye if you buy a large Shamrock Shake to give you diarrhea. So we take risks for you people.
But I thought it tasted pretty good. Like, I think it's a neat flavor.
I'm making it my number 1 just because I thought the flavor is pretty good. I've taken a few more drinks and it's kind of growing on me. And the other two just really weren't that impressive other than their packaging.
My number 1, strangely, this is one of the first times where I think Jeff and I have been very different.
Yeah.
My number 1 is the s'mores M&Ms. I think they're actually pretty tasty. Like, I didn't get much graham crackerness through it, but like the marshmallow and the chocolate kind of tasted good together. I really liked that.
Yeah, I'm just not that big of a marshmallow fan.
No,
So.
I get that. If we had to, do we want to just compare last week to this week? Like, we don't necessarily have to rank everything.
Well, we should rank it all at the end.
Yeah.
But I would say probably the Fanta's not as good as the caramel apple beer you gave me last week.
Mm-hmm.
I like that more, surprisingly, because I don't usually like beer at all.
Right.
I would say probably last week was better than this week.
I might be. See, that's the thing. I certainly think the beer is better than the Fanta. Like, it's hard for me to downvote that beer, like below something else. But like on a whole, like the gummies were all right.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly can't even remember the other thing we did.
We did the gum because they were the weird spider-shaped and insect-shaped gummies. What was the third thing?
I cannot remember.
I can't remember.
And
I like those gummies though. I like the flavor of those gummies.
But yeah, whatever it was. I mean, it was so low that we can't even remember what we had.
Honestly, I don't even remember what it was.
I'll go back and listen later.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure it out.
And figure it out. But yeah, it was the Takis, those awful zombie Takis.
Oh god, yes. Oh my god, no, never mind. This week's better.
Yeah, I agree.
forgot about those damn. My mind must have blocked it out to protect me from the flavor.
No, I think this week. I think this week's remembering that. I think this week is certainly better.
I mean, the beer was good. I enjoyed the flavor, and they were just like they were that level of chewiness on the gummies where it's not too much but not too soft. And so I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I'd say overall this week was probably better, just taking those Takis into account.
Well, if you want to get in touch with us, talk about Christmas horror movies, talk about fast food, junk food. I mean, with McDonald's McBoob Hails coming back and that surprise from Burger King, the ghost pepper Whopper and ghost pepper chicken fries, like coming down the pipe. Like we'll have more things to talk about here soon.
Yes, we will.
But if you want to get in touch with us and talk about that, talk about Christmas horror movies, send us an email, horrorfortheholidays@gmail.com. The name of our podcast, horrorfortheholidays@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with us on social media, we are on Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter /X, TikTok, Instagram, the Q app. We are all those places at horror4holidays, horror4holidays.
If you want to catch us on YouTube, where a lot of people do, it's youtube.com/horrorfortheholidays. You'll see our banner.
Yep.
And our Spooktacular logo.
Oh, I forgot to bring it up on the last episode, Jeff. We saw the banner in advance, and I was like, "Oh boy, are we trying to get the furry the furry listeners? Are they gonna think we're two dog people now?"
Yep, that's us, folks.
Two furry. No, it's Jeff and I. I think those are cartoon images of Jeff and my dog.
Yes, they are.
And so that's what that was. But I just thought it was silly.
I sent the artist hilarious reference photos of them.
And then. Get in touch with us there. I think someone in Jeff's family left us a nice comment on the last episode.
Yes, my mother.
That's who I thought it was, but I didn't want to say. If you want to talk with Jeff's mom or
Get a hold of my mom. Let her know what you think about the podcast.
yeah, let her know this podcast sucks. Or the best place to do that would be on YouTube. Leave us a comment, or on your podcatcher of choice, leave us a 5-star review. This podcast is terrible. These guys need to stop eating in the microphone. They fucking suck.
Ask her how her son got so fat.
All those things like that. That's the best way to get in touch with us. 5-star reviews, subscribe on your podcatcher, give us a 5-star review, and tell us why we suck.
Or just tell your friends about us.
Yeah, I think that's word of mouth has been great.
So you're never gonna believe what these guys think they can get away with on this podcast.
They talk. I think my dad famously was like, "Boy, you sure do say fuck a lot on that podcast."
Yes, we do.
Yes,
Jay's
we
dad.
do. But I think that's it for this week. For this week's episode of the 2023 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular.
The 2023 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular?
The one and the same. The 2023 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular.
Are you telling me that we've been on the 2023 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular this entire time?
Yep, and we'll be on it again next week because we are every Monday in October. We're bringing a brand new episode.
Well, that sounds spooktacular to me, Jay.
And we'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.